Class 9th students, this is Neha Singh, your science teacher, is here to make you aware more about the concept of the chemistry, matter in our surrounding. Chapter number 1 of your class 9th. I hope you all are safe and sound. We are making efforts to make your learning a better place for you all. So keep learning with us. So let's start the chapter. In the previous video, we have learned about the characteristics of the matter, that they are made up of particles. These particles are very tiny or small. They have spaces between them. The particles are constantly moving and they attract each other. So how do we come to know about this? How can we just memorize these things, right? So we need some experiments related to it. We need some activity that could easily explain to us that yes, these characteristics are right. So let's talk about the first characteristics, the particles of the matter. The matter is made up of particles. Just assume one of the chalk pieces, right? If you write it on the blackboard or the green board, you might have find some white dot particles just lying on the floor, right? These particles are actually the chalk particles. If you just touch them and try to write them with these lying down particles, you will able to write it. Means the smallest particle that you are just touching it with your finger, they are actually behaving like itself a chalk, but for some time, okay. But we can conclude from here that yes, the particles, these are made up of matter. The matter is actually made up of particles, the tiny pieces, right? Because by binding together these pieces, we can easily make a chalk again. Similarly with the other examples also. If we talk about a table, it is made up of wood. If you start scratching it, you will find the scrapings of the wood only, right? Means these are made up of tiny particles of the wood. They bind together to form a particular shape here, right? So first property, that the matter is made up of particles, we have already clear, and the particles we call them actually small pieces. But how can we consider that they are made up of the small pieces? The chalk example itself explaining you that the particle, the pieces, they are very small, but they could be more smaller than the pieces of the pieces of the chalk, the particles of the chalk that you may have observed. They could be more less in size. For example, this activity, you can see in this activity that in a 100 ml of beaker, they have taken a potassium permanganate crystals. Crystals means a small ball type structure which is made up of some chemicals, right? So they have taken the potassium permanganate. It is a kind of matter only, right? We take 2 or 3 small crystals of the potassium permanganate and dissolved in the 100 ml of the water in a beaker. So we'll get a deep purple color here. Okay. Now what we'll do, we take out the 10 ml of the water from it and put it another 100 ml of water. Similarly, we repeat the situations and we just keep repeating these equations again and again, and we keep diluting the solution. Ultimately, what we find that the very dilute potassium permanganate solution is there, and we can see that this potassium permanganate is still giving color to the last beaker, very light, although the color will be very light. Here only you have just dissolved 2 or 3 crystals. These crystals, these tiny crystals, already they are imparting color on a large volume of water. So from this observation, what we can conclude that each potassium permanganate crystal itself must be made up of millions of small particles which keep on spreading and imparting color to more and more of water, right? Because we are just taking 10 ml of water from it. So since each tiny crystal of potassium permanganate is supposed to be made up of million of particles, therefore from this experiment we can conclude that yes, the matter, the particles of the matter, they must be very small. I hope this characteristics of particle, it might be clear to you all. Then let's move further to the next property, next characteristics, that is the particles of matter have spaces between them. For this, to check whether the particles of matter have space between them or not, so what we have taken, we have again taken 100 ml of some amount of water, we measure it, and we here will mark the level of the water here. Then we'll add some sugar or some salt in it, 1 spoon, 2 spoon, right? After that, just check the level of the water. You will see after stirring it properly, the water level does not rise above this leveling point after mixing the sugar or the salt solution, even after dissolving 50 grams of sugars in 100 ml of water also. So how can we explain this assumption? We can explain this assumption like that: when we are dissolving the sugar in the water, it's the sugar crystals, the sugar particles, they itself dissociate into very fine particles, and these particles of sugar go into the spaces between the various particles of the water. That's why, as the water will be having some space, so they will be hiding in that space only, so we are not able to see the rising in the level of the water. So the fact that there is no change in volume on dissolving sugar in water, which explains us that there are spaces between the particles of water, and these spaces can accommodate the sugar particles, because these sugar particles can break down into many tiny crystals, right? And the particles in water are not tightly packed, they are somewhat loose, so they might have some spaces between them. We see different particles, right, in nature, like solid particles also there, the liquid particles also there. But because of their binding capacity, we can say that yes, they are having the space between them. Some having the large space and some particles will having the small space. I hope this activity will also be clear to you all. Next activity, let's talk about the fourth point, the fourth characteristics, that is the particles of matter. They are in continuous moving, they are in motion. To check this evidence, the most important example of this, when you light an incense stick, that is agarbatti, right? When you light the incense stick, so you can feel the smell, the pleasant smell, the fragrance of that spreads in the room quickly, right? So you can feel the pleasant smell, the fragrance of the incense stick at the other corner of your room, right? So burning of incense stick produces some of the gases which is having a pleasant smell. The particles of gases they produced by burning of this stick, they start moving in all the directions, they mix with the air in the room itself and every part of the room quickly, right? Along with the air, they mix it with it and you will start feeling the fragrance. When these particles, the gaseous particles, the fragrant gases from the incense stick, they reach to your nose with air, you can smell the fragrance. If the particles of gases produced by burning of incense sticks and the particles of air were not moving, then the fragrance of incense stick could not spread in the whole room quickly. You cannot feel that, right? So we can conclude that the fragrance of a burning incense stick spreads in the entire room very quickly, which is telling us the particles of matter are constantly moving. We can take the another example also by keeping some of the ink drops into the water. After some time, if you see the ink just spread out evenly throughout the medium, throughout the water. Even you can put some color. If you put some drops of color in the water, you will feel that after some time they just spread out evenly into the beaker or the thing in which you are keeping the water. So from this we can conclude that we are not mixing it, we are not dissolving it properly. So that means that yes, they are moving in nature. So that's why they, after traveling some of the distances, finding the spaces, and they diffuse into each other. So this intermixing, the intermixing of two or more different types of matter on their own, right, we are calling this situation as the diffusion. like what is diffusion? The mixing of any particle. If you keep, for example, you are keeping some of the dye particles here in the water, so they start moving after reaching from their high region, from where they are not having any particles of dye till here. So from high region to their low region, they will start moving and they spread evenly into the water. That means the mixing, they are intermixing with each other. So this process, the intermixing of the matter by their own, this process is known as diffusion. Even this diffusion could take place between solid into the liquid, like potassium permanganate. They are crystals, they are solid in nature, right? Liquid into liquid, like dye molecules into the water. Gases also, like the fragrant gases that we observe in the incense stick, into the air itself. So anything, the different states of matter, they can intermix with each other, and we are calling this intermixing as the diffusion. Hope you will understood this topic easily. Now let's move to the last topic, last characteristics of the matter, that is the particles of matter, they attract each other. There are some forces of attraction between the particles of matter. Means if they are close enough, they could bind each other, they could hold each other, and we are calling that force as the force of attraction, that attracting the other molecule, other particle of the matter, right? This is the force of attraction. You can see here the chalk particles, they are rigid. Rigid means they are having very hard surface, right? Rigidity explains that the particles, they could not flow. That means rigid molecule is there, so they can maintain their shape. They are unbending, they are unflexible. The mean is rigid means. So they have a fixed shape. Why? Because the particles which are present in them, they are holding each other very tightly. So if they are attracting each other very tightly, it means they have the force of attraction between the particles is very high. So a piece of chalk, a cube of ice, an iron nail, if you beat them with the hammer, you will find that it is very easy to break this chalk into smaller particles, but it requires more force to break a cube of ice, as well as the iron nail does not break at all with a large force. You need to heat it up to break it down. So the different particles could have different attraction between the particles of the matter, right? So the force of attraction, it could be maximum in the solid case, intermediate in liquid case, and then the least in the gaseous molecules. So these particles, the way they are attracting each other, the particles of matter, the way they could attract each other, they could be defined, they could be differentiated into 3 different states, like the physical states, like solid, liquid, and gases, which we are going to learn about the properties of these 3 in our next video. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. Thank you, everyone.